What is going on, Money and Life TV family? It is so good to see you as we have another dividend investing video. Before we get into the content today, if you guys can do me a quick favor, it's so important, is if you could smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm, or even consider leaving a comment below. It would mean a lot to me. If you guys have not already seen last week's video on the cost basis worksheet, I encourage you to go watch that before watching this one, as I think it's going to help you make more sense of all this. I am really excited about this part of this series, and I'm going to be continuing to make more updates to this. Don't think I've stopped here.
Trust me, Mike's a spreadsheet junkie, and he's just getting started.
There's a lot more elements I want to add to the spreadsheet, like so it can calculate gain-loss, so you can drop in information regarding your beta, and information regarding sectors or industries and things like that. There's a lot I think this spreadsheet's going to do for you, but I have more updates coming, so just be aware of that. Now, to show you how this works, because last time we covered, really we talked about you taking the time and do the exercise of listing out your stocks or ETFs, whatever you have, mutual funds, and really filling out columns B, C, and D, and then column E, and just getting your cost basis and sets of shares for each investment you have laid out on the spreadsheet. Because that's going to help you analyze this further, and which is why we go about doing it, even though it's time consuming, even though it's kind of boring, I admit. But once you're beyond that, there's a lot you can do with the spreadsheet. In this update, you'll see how this is slightly darker blue, and this is a slightly lighter blue, or it's kind of faded. Well, these faded parts right here, that represents formulas. And I've been able to highlight every formula in the spreadsheet, whereby you do not want to delete anything that's a formula. No, if you do, the spreadsheet's not going to work, and that's one of the challenges with Excel. But as long as you keep these formulas intact, all you have to do is manually key in these numbers for your portfolio, and the rest of this will update automatically for you, and it's going to be able to provide you a lot of good information. In this part of the video, I really want to cover columns F, G, H, I, and J. And you're about to see how this works. And then at the very end of the video, I'll show you an example of what my personal spreadsheet looks like for myself, even though the one you're getting now is actually more updated than the one I use. So I'm jealous. I got to drop my information into this new one because I've made it better. Currently, this spreadsheet is programmed for you to have up to 20 different investments. If you have more than that, then you're going to want to add or insert rows and then copy these formulas and then drag them down and then alter the name of the stock to be whatever investment you're investing in. Coming back up to the top now, I want to focus on stock number 3, because these numbers I have in here, they're just for an example, but these are some of my real numbers in my real stocks. So stock 3, even though this is a template for you, this is actually my real cost basis in my investment of American Water Works, AWK. When I first invested in American Water Works back in September of 2014, the annual dividends was much lower than that. I think it was like $1.50 or whatever it was at that point in time. I can't remember. But as you'll see here, if I scroll over, now in this first tranche of shares or first set of shares, you can see I invested just under $500 in American Water Works. Well, if I scroll to the right here, if I look at column G is calculating from that set of shares, the 10 shares I bought back in 2014, which now pay me $2 annually per share. It means I'm getting $20 of income per year from that set of shares in American Water Works. And my yield on cost, when I initially bought this, I think the yield on American Water Works, I think it was like 2% or 2.25. I honestly can't remember what it was. But because American Water Works has been growing their dividend every year for the past 5 years by about 10% per year, my yield on cost now is actually 4%. And that's what's so cool about dividend investing. And I'm going to talk about the compounding annual dividend growth rate in a future video, just to help you understand how that all works. But if you're invested in a good company, they're going to be able to continue to increase their dividends. And as their dividend increases, if their stock continues to rise in value, well, then your initial set of shares that you bought years ago, the yield you're getting on those shares now continues to increase. So you might start off with a 1.5% yield, a 2% yield. All of a sudden, 5 years later, you wake up, your yield has basically doubled and you've done nothing. Eventually, this yield could reach 5, 6, 7, 10% or more, as if American Waterworks as a company can continue to raise its dividend every year by 10%. And of course, as you can see through this, looking back in time, you can see that even in 2015 now, my yield on cost is $3.50, because the cost, when I bought those shares, the cost of American Waterworks stock was lower than it is now. Whereas if you look down at my last set of shares I bought, which is in May of 2019, my yield on cost is only 1.79%, and which is, it's good, it's okay, but it's no 4%. But of course, with American Waterworks, I get a ton of capital appreciation on this investment on top of the dividend yield, which is why I invest in it. Now for me, this account, as you're going to see on my spreadsheet, this blue highlighted area is just my taxable brokerage account. I have a set for a Roth IRA, my wife's Roth IRA, which is already set up for you, which I'm going to unhide it here after I've explained this, but I just want to look at one area at a time so you understand how this works. When you open this template, of course, you're going to see all this information on here, but of course you're going to modify it. You're going to probably delete everything that's not a formula and insert the investments you own, whether they're stocks, ETFs, how many different sets of shares you've purchased, and so on and so forth. But like I said, in this example, stock 3 represents American Waterworks, and I own 100 shares of this investment. My total cost basis is $8,100. It pays me about $200 a year annually in dividends. This column, this calculates the yield on cost on each set of shares. That's what column H does. Column I is the weighted average yield on cost per investment. Because I've bought or purchased American Waterworks at different points in time, it represents a different weighted average yield on cost. And so in order to calculate my overall yield on cost on American Waterworks, I have to do an extra calculation, but this calculation is already set up for you in the spreadsheet. And so this looks at the weighted average yield on cost of American Waterworks. So my total average yield on cost in this investment is 2.47%. So column I really looks at the weighted average yield on cost per each single investment. But if you move over to column J now, what that means is that although American Waterworks in this example has a 2.47% yield on cost, when you compare it to the percentage of the total yield on cost of all the investments in this portfolio, it only represents 0.205%. And you can't really see from this photograph, but as we go to the bottom of the spreadsheet later in the video, you're going to see how that all totals up to one weighted average yield on cost number for the entire portfolio. Where does this information come from? Well, I've created a separate tab for the dividends per share. This is the annual dividends per share for each investment. That's what this represents. And it's linked. And these numbers come, see how if I click on this, it says, right here, it says annual dividends template. Well, right here is annual dividends, and this is linked directly from here. So what I do to help me get this information quickly is I will either find the annual dividend payout on Yahoo Finance, I'll drop it in here, or I use TD Ameritrade, and what I can do is I order my stocks alphabetically, and I sort it based on dividend payout. So like this would be Apple for me, this would be AbbVie, this would be American Waterworks, etc. And I'm able to just export that information directly from my TD Ameritrade account and then dump it in here and paste it. So it doesn't take me much time to update this because they're constantly tracking that information. I would copy and paste all that information in here, and then it would automatically update these columns here. So it doesn't take you a lot of time to update this. So whatever platform you're using, see what you can do to extract the information to Excel so you don't have to manually hand key each amount. But I would recommend putting your annual dividends right here because it's linked directly to this spreadsheet, and it's going to help you update things going forward. Now let me show you the really cool part of how this connects to a previous template I've given you. Now you're going to see how this sheet talks to the other one, and how it's going to make updating your investment information more automatic. If you remember, I created a monthly dividend investing template to help you track your dividend income by month. But the problem is a lot of this information at that point in time, it wasn't linked. And we couldn't link this information because the first step was really to lay out all your investments and get your cost basis tracking straight. Once you've tracked your total cost basis, which is the number that represents how much you've invested in total in your portfolio, then you can start to do cool stuff like this and make your portfolio easy to analyze. So what you're going to see here is, let me zoom in on this a little bit. Now, I'm just focusing on stock 3 because we're just talking about American Waterworks, but this information is now linked to the cost basis worksheet. So if I go down here where it says cost basis worksheet, you're going to see that it's pulling the stock name from right here, from American Waterworks, and it automatically transfers that to this monthly dividend investing template over here. It knows how many shares we have because it's linked. It automatically pulls the annual dividend amounts per share, and then we take this. So this amount, the amount of dividends paid each payout period, is basically, it takes this divided by 4 because American Waterworks pays dividends on a quarterly basis. If you have a stock that pays dividends monthly, you would just change this 4, you would change it to 12. If you have a stock that pays annually, it would just be one payment. And that's all you would do. But most investments that pay dividends pay on a quarterly basis, which is why it's dividing the annual dividend amount divided by 4 to give you a rough average of how much you can expect to receive per quarter. Column F now looks at, of your total account for this account right here, it looks at how much in total is invested in that one investment. And for American Waterworks in this example, it's 12.33% of the whole portfolio. That's how much you know you've already invested in total to this investment, which is high, but this is just an example. For me personally, like I've mentioned in many of my other investing videos, I like to get this amount per investment down to anywhere from 1 to 5%. That's my goal. That helps me mitigate my risk as much as possible, and that is, as a CPA, what I virtually see every investment manager from Merrill Lynch to Edward Jones to Charles Schwab, you name it, that is exactly what they're doing for their clients. And that's why I'm saying that by doing this information, you're going to be able to actually see how much money you have invested very quickly and be able to take that professional approach and add a professional polish. Wax on, wax off. But that is where that number is pulling from for this account, which shows up right here. From there, what you can do, and you'll have to do this manually because each investment you own is going to be different, but you would then, to figure out how much you're going to get paid by month for each investment. And now I know, because I've been investing in American Waterworks for a long time, that they usually pay a dividend in February. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take February, I'm going to put equals. It's going to equal column E, or 50 cents per quarter, times 100 shares. And so I know in February, for example, and I'm pretty sure it's February, it could be March, but I think it's February, that I know that I'm going to get $50 from American Waterworks based on this information. Then what I can do is I can also add the other months of when I think they're going to receive a dividend. So then I just need to adjust this formula real quick. I'm just going to fix this so it has the same attributes, so it knows where to pull the information from. And I'm going to do copy and paste right there, because I think they pay again in May, I think they pay again in September, and I think they pay once more again in December. So in total now, we know from our cost basis worksheet, we know that we saw $200 per year, right? That's what we saw right here in column G. Well, then that's how much in total we would want our monthly dividend template to represent. I know this is time consuming, but I really think you're going to find value in it in the long run as you go about this process. And because you guys asked me, how do I analyze my portfolio? This is the kind of stuff I do before I go make a new investment decision every single time. I want to know exactly where I'm starting from before I invest more money so I can make the best decision possible. Now we're back on the cost basis worksheet, and let me show you something really cool. And you're going to see it took me a lot of time to set this up. So if I go up to J and E, and now this is already going to be on hidden when you open this up. And if you only have one account, maybe this is your Roth, so you would just change this to say Roth. Or maybe you let this be your taxable account and you use these other accounts I'm about to show you. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to unhide this for you guys. And I actually have this set up whereby you can have both all of your information in one place. So here's all of your information you can track for your taxable account. If you have a Roth, and then if your spouse has a Roth, it's all right here laid out for you, and it's all set up. And I've color coordinated it so you can tell which account you're looking at. I know it's a little bit overwhelming at first, but you can basically take this concept though and break this out on different work tabs down here if you'd like to. It doesn't matter to me. But the idea is so you can take a true global view of your portfolio. And at the end of the day, what it does is it really gives you the ability to really project or forecast where your dividend income is going based on your true yield on cost. Because the only way you can calculate your true yield on cost is, especially if you have multiple accounts, is to take all accounts into consideration. And this is something that most investment platforms just can't do unless you break this information out for yourself in something like Excel. Now, as I showed you in the last video, if I scroll down to this part right here, this adds up my total number of shares. I've made some updates to this. This is all of my shares in this account. My total cost basis for this account in this template is $65,000, and this is what you're going to see when you open this. This 100%, this is kind of a check figure to make sure everything is adding up here correctly. Because if if all my formulas are correct, then this should account for 100% of the investments in this account, and it does. But here, total annual dividends, this is going to add up your total dividend income for this account for the year, which is why it's pretty cool. So you can know, like, hey, and based on this information that I have, that I'm going to make roughly $2,250 in this account. That's pretty cool. Now, what about my Roth? Well, the same concept applies. I come over here for the Roth, and you're going to see from my Roth account in this example that you can expect to make $746 per year just from your Roth IRA. But in the spouse's Roth IRA, it's projecting annual dividend income of $259 and $12,000 is invested. Now, this is how it all adds up in the end. So if I take this amount, $12,000, I click here, add that one up, and I add the $65,000. And this template, in this example, is the total cost basis of all the investments is $97,507. I know it's hard to see in the bottom right hand of the spreadsheet, but it's there. But don't worry, it's already programmed to add all that up for you. So the total amount invested, as you can see, is $97,507. The grand total yield on cost on all accounts is this number right here. It's 3.32%. And that is using this formula. It's pulling from right here. This is where the yield on cost is coming from to get to that amount, is these cells right here. So what that means, from an investing perspective, just ignoring capital appreciation, just talking about dividend yield on cost, is every dollar you put in to your portfolio, you're going to get an average annual yield of 3.32% on average. Okay, sometimes more, sometimes less, but that's what it is. And then from here, based on that yield on cost, you can then reasonably project your dividend income for the year going forward. Now, I'm going to show you a few tips because you might be saying, well, Mike, I like this spreadsheet, it's great and all, but I don't have more than one account. I only have, maybe this is just your Roth IRA, maybe you don't have anything else. Maybe it's just this one account that you want to use. So let me show you how to resolve that. If that's your situation, I don't recommend deleting this because that's going to get rid of those formulas. So if you ever do want to get one of these other accounts, whether it's a taxable account or a Roth or just a traditional IRA, whatever it is, then I don't suggest deleting this. So what I would do is I would just click on here and I would highlight this and I would put hide. Right click and hide. And same is true here. So I would go over here and then I would click on this and click on hide. That way that goes away. Now you're no longer going to see that. Now you're just dealing with, maybe this is just your one account and that's what you're working with, and that's fine. But then down here, we just need to alter these formulas down here. And instead of So if I click on the grand total invested, all I need to do to make it just focus on these numbers in this one account, then I click here and I'm going to delete this, delete that, and then delete this. And boom, now it's just 65,000, 65,000. Same is true here. So now I'm just going to click here and I'm going to delete that. And automatically, this will update to reflect my new annual dividend income just from this one account. And that's how I would recommend going about doing that if you only have one account. Another thing I want to mention real quick is on the monthly dividend investing template, this template is currently only set up for this first account right here. But that is how this works, guys. And this is definitely part of my investment analysis and the process I go through when I'm doing investing and just keeping this up to date going forward, because it's so important to track this, not only from a analysis standpoint, but even from a tax perspective. A lot of times when people, they'll transition their brokerage accounts, they'll transition it over to, let's say they go from Schwab to Ameritrade or vice versa. Well, what can happen is that cost basis information can get lost and then you're not able to find it. Well, then that's one of the benefits of doing this exercise is you'll always know what your true tax basis is in each investment you own, so that if you sell it, you're not lost, or your CPA is not lost trying to find that information and charging you more money because they need to do further research to figure it out. All of this is right here. Takes time, but it's totally worth it, guys. So I wanted to build this spreadsheet to say thank you for over 40,000 subscribers and all the love and support you pour out onto me over the channel. And it means a lot to me that you're here and supporting the channel, and just being able to interact with you on YouTube means the world to me. So I'm going to start wrapping up the video here, but I would love to hear your thoughts about how you personally analyze your investments. What types of things you like to look at. Please share those in the comment section below. The Money in Life TV community would greatly benefit from it, and I really enjoy those kind of discussions. If you liked the video today, please smash that like button, share this information with a friend, especially if you have friends who are into investing. And if you're new to Money in Life TV, welcome. Here on our channel, our goal and mission is to help you become fiscally fit as we teach finances, investing, taxes, and more on a regular basis. You can subscribe by hitting that red subscribe button down below, and if you hit that little bell notification icon, that's going to notify you every time we release a new video on the channel, which is usually about once per week, and usually on Sundays. All right, everybody, thanks for hanging out with me. I know this was a long one. Hopefully you found it worthwhile. Live life uncaged. Make sure you download the spreadsheet, and I'll see you all in the next video.